morning, everyone. Oh, I'll tell you what, this is one of my favorite times to be out in the garden. It's not fully in the sun yet. It's a great time to work in the garden. And so I don't get really hot, or it's a good time to weed. So today I'm going to be planting more Lima bean seeds that I grew from the beans that came from the store, because I want to see how they will do. Right here are some Lima beans that I bought at a local farm store. It looks like it's already getting a pod right there. So I have to pull a lot of weeds first. Could you imagine if I didn't have all this mulch, how many weeds I would have? I've got this probably crabgrass growing. Sometimes I'll grab a bucket and pull everything out and take it out and mulch it up in the yard. But when it's this small and it's not danger, not a danger because of the seeds, I just do it's not really chop and drop, but I just pull it out and leave it there because it'll degrade and it'll turn into just added mulch. And, my mom, when she pulls weeds, she loves to pull weeds, but she bags them up and puts them out for the trash man. I don't know. Well, I guess it adds some biodiversity to the landfill, but I also feel like you could use it to your benefit. I'm going to put in some comfrey, maybe this fall, but to use that as a nice living mulch, I'm going to plant that along the far edge in the last row of the garden. It doesn't get a lot of sun, so I'm going to overplant the comfrey, and then we'll just let that grow. It creates a nice little barrier to keep weeds out of the garden on the far end. And another thing I have to keep pulling out here are, if you know what those are, morning glories. One morning glory vine, if you let it go to seed, it's going to pop up everywhere. Right here along the fence, all this brown dead stuff, which still has seed pods on it, is morning glory. Last year I started doing really well, just pulling it all out, but all the seed doesn't sprout at once. And then of course I miss some. Those little ones are how it looks when it first pops up. And then pretty soon it gets to like this. Now it'll vine up there, and it has beautiful blue flowers. But you know what? It just is so invasive. I pull it out, and I guarantee you it'll take me years to eradicate it, if ever. Morning glory, when I moved in here, I removed a raised bed planter, and all of a sudden these morning glories started popping up everywhere. And the neighbor who lived here when the previous person lived here, he said, "Did you plant that there?" He said, "No." He said, "The woman who lived here 17 years ago planted those, and then they covered over the bed, and the flowers were just gone." He said, so those morning glory seeds stayed viable in the ground for 17 years, and now they're all over the place. But anyway, so this is what I'm doing today, is just going to go ahead and put these Lima beans in. Had to find a place to squeeze them in, and since this eggplant is just not doing anything, I'm just going to plant them on the other side of the eggplant and just let nature take its course. So what I did is I went ahead and pulled the weeds and pulled back some of that mulch. I made myself a little trough, or pit here, and I'm just going to put some plant food in here. If the Lima beans want it, they'll take it. I don't inoculate beans. I know that they say inoculate beans, but I've just never done that. I've not literally planted a lot of beans, but with the price of the Lima beans, what being $2.12 a pound, and not being able to find them in bulk for any less, I really want to plant my own. Although I was at a store recently where they did a reset, when they change everything and hide it from you. And I walk up to an employee and I'm like, "Okay, where'd you hide the coffee?" Because they moved it. And, So that's frustrating when they do that. But anyway, I noticed that the Lima Beans are the same exact Lima Beans, and the price dropped from $2.12 to $1.56. So I did buy 6 pounds because I have another ham bone to make some more Lima bean soup for Fred. So that's I did buy those, but I'm still going to plant these and see how I can do this on my own. Look at this big boy, he fell over. So the roots already have grown into the paper towel, so I have to pull the paper towel apart and plant it with the bean. But that's okay, it'll be fine, and I'm just going to try to be really careful getting those off of there so that they don't totally break off too many roots. I picked the 4 biggest ones to put in this spot, and then as they grow, I'm imagining they're probably a vining lima, so they'll just go up here. If they're a bush lima, well then I probably planted them too close together. So I picked the 4 best ones, and I'm going to have to find someplace else to put these. So I just put them in there so they would, stand up to make sure that the spacing was the way I wanted it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cover them over just like that. And then those weeds that I just pulled, since there's no more dirt around the roots, it'll just serve as a mulch, and then I'll come back. And it doesn't look that great now, but I know that it works, and it'll be fine to just go ahead and cover them up like that. What the heck's that huge rock doing there? Oh well. Got grandkids, sometimes you got rocks in the strangest places. As long as they don't end up through your window, I guess it's not much to be getting excited about. So those are there, and then I'm just going to water them in, and now I have to look around for some place to put these other ones. I've taken to letting this purslane just grow to take over, because I don't want to lose that as a volunteer crop, because purslane is supposedly very nutritious, and I just want to keep it growing. And it's nice that it's a wild edible. I mean, people do cultivate it, but it totally comes back every year. And over here we've got some celery. This is not the celery that I started growing on my own, from the leftover stock. But these are all volunteer tomatoes, so I just let them grow in case I needed to fill in somewhere else. And I don't have any of my favorite yellow pear tomatoes, so I want these volunteers to go ahead and grow so that I can see what kind of tomatoes they are. I really want to replace my yellow pear tomatoes that I seem to have lost the seeds for. This is one of the reasons I like these cattle panels, because I no longer have to deal with tomato cages. See that tomatoes growing from the other side? The other day when I did some pruning, I pulled it through here, and today it's ready just to push back through here. And the stems are still nice and soft, so they don't break when you try to do that. Now, if it would be too long and I wouldn't want to risk anything, I would just skip 2 squares. And then what's nice is when you have 2 tomato plants that are too close together, you can actually control where they vine. You can vine it to the left, vine it to the right, and so that's really nice too. I'm probably going to end up with a little bit of a problem here, because I've got this one of those is a volunteer, one of them's not, but I really shouldn't be planting tomatoes on each side of the fence. But sometimes stuff happens. You just end up with too much abundance, which is sometimes a good thing. I'm not real sure when I'm going to end up uploading this video. I know I'm so behind, and just like last year, I believe this happened also. I do make the videos, I just don't get them uploaded in a timely fashion, just because the garden's pretty big. I'm going to get ready to do another video tour of the garden, and it'll probably be a long one because we'll cover all 5 rows, and you know how I tend to talk a lot. But right here I have the wild lettuce. Some people call it opium lettuce. I kind of don't like to do that because I don't want it to be given a negative connotation. It just shouldn't. It does definitely increase some people's interest in the plant, but I just don't like it, because then pretty soon it's going to be wildly regulated by government, and government has no place in plants, any plants. Okay, so, but, and before I say this is wild lettuce, I should say I've let this grow because I believe it's wild lettuce. Before I would use any part of this plant, I would definitely do 3 identifications. That's the minimum that they say you should do if you want to cultivate a wild plant to use it internally. Use at least 3 different sources to confirm that that is the correct plant, so that you don't die, because, you know, who wants to die? Well, accidentally anyway. So I will try to use that book that I got and see if that is indeed the wild lettuce that I believe it is. I do know people who have the wild lettuce and they smoke it. I don't smoke anything anymore. I don't even like having a wood-burning fire sometimes, just because I love my lungs too much. I smoked cigarettes for probably, I don't know, over 20 years, and I was finally able to quit on my 7th attempt at quitting, and I finally got to the point where, you know, I hate cigarettes. You have to hate them. You have to hate what they're doing to your body. If a person were doing to your body what cigarettes do to your body, you would hate that. You would hate that person. You have to hate the cigarettes. You know, if you had a disease that did to your lungs what cigarettes do to your lungs, you would hate that. If your employer had bad air control methods and destroyed your lungs like cigarettes destroy your lungs, you would sue your employer. So just, that's how I had to start feeling about cigarettes. And I'm not bitching at anybody to quit. I'm just, because believe me, I know that doesn't work either. You have to want to quit. You have to wake up one morning and hate the cigarettes. You have to hate the cigarettes more than you want to live, more than you love life. But anyway, yeah, that's my lecture. So no, I don't smoke anything, and I wouldn't smoke this. I would have to find another way to use the benefits of the plant. But anyway, that's my video for today. I really got to get the rest of these Lima beans squeezed in somewhere. I may end up putting some under the walnut trees as an experiment. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go do. So remind me in a while. Ask me how my Lima beans that I planted under the walnuts are doing, because, you know, walnuts kill a lot of things that you try to grow under them, and there aren't a lot of things that will grow under them. So that's it for today. That's what I'm doing right now. Hopefully I'll get around to uploading the videos. I apologize for the length of time in between the videos in the summer. And be blessed, everyone, and let me know what you prepped today.